Make him comment. I would love to, but Stardust is a busy guy. He's got 2,000 people watching him. He's got his own stream to take care of, not spend time on this. But guys, let's get into this. Pretend like this is for real. Spawning here in the upper right corner of the map in Game 2 on Star Station. It is none other than Acer's Nerchio, the Red Zerg player. And his opponent in the lower left, playing for my insanity. Give it up, guys. It's Stardust. And I will just need 1 second to go close some things out. Alright, cool. Got that fixed out. So, getting into this game here, Stardust versus Nerchio. A really great, I guess, amalgamation of players. Like, two players colliding like this at such a high skill level. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Nerchio, of course, being a very prominent Zerg player, should have no problem dispatching with whatever Stardust comes out with. But Stardust, go with the gateway opening in this game. See how this goes. Protoss players, the great... Okay, here's the pros and cons of going gateway opening, for those who don't know. If you go for the gateway opening, it means you get the Cyber Core out earlier, which means you get the Mothership Core out earlier, and it allows you to actually be very aggressive with a Stalker Zealot Mothership Core poke. You can also follow up with a lot more gateways if you want to, but the bare necessities are there and you're given what you need. Opposed to, say, the Forge Fast Expand, where you'll get the Nexus up earlier, you'll have a much better economy, but you won't have any units on the field. So it's kind of this, which do you more prefer? And on a map like Star Station, I can't disagree with going with the gateway opener. It's the last thing you really want to do is give Nerchio free reign to get a third base up early. I mean, you could let him take that third base and try and deal with it, but I mean, it's a player like Nerchio. It's not some random Zerg on ladder. You got to be very careful, and your thought processes are very much it's like a chess game at this level. This might work against most people, but this one particular move needs to be different because of who I'm playing today. Now he's going to put down the expansion, so gateway expand. It's not going to be 3 gates pressure, it's not going to be a 4-gate all-in, and it's not going to be Blink or Dark Templar by any means. It's not this early, but a gateway expand actually goes nice if left unpunished, and Nerchio's running across the field to see what this is. If he had known that this was not going to be a Forge Fast expand, I guarantee you Nerchio would have come out with a lot of lings very early. Now he may produce as high as 6 to try and punish this, but it's going to be very difficult for Stardust to really take much damage, as the Mothership Core, of course, is already on the field. Ling's just gonna hop along down here. Little curious, yeah, Nerchio's just gonna back off. We don't actually have extra Ling production. He's going to continue droning, and despite this, he's still taking a third base. This is something that can work both for and against Nerchio. The position he takes it, of course, if we get Blink Stalkers on the field, we can have that really annoying, pesky high ground, low ground, back and forth that Zerg players struggle to deal with already. It also allows Nerchio to get his economy rolling really quickly, so he might just come across the field. I mean, if you guys think 2 base Roach all-ins are strong, wait until you see 3 base Roach all-ins. It's not even something that's common, there's very few people who do it, but you have an endless supply of Roaches at that point. Of course, it's very delayed, so the reason it's not common is because the timing isn't there for it to hit at a time in which Protoss are weak and undefended. But alright, Stalker now up here. Nerchio might come up to the main. He will get a bit of a scout off, but
First blood.
Unfortunately, the Lings are going to get picked off as they do scout around. But the nice thing for Nerchio is he looks at this and he sees, look, there's no more gateways on the field, just the 2 here at the natural entrance, so it's not going to be like a 5-7 gate push by any means. There's no Forge, there's no Robo Bay. My opponent's just trying to expand. He's trying to get his economy up, and the big question is whether there's 2 Forges or not. Now, sadly, Nerchio didn't get to scout either just yet, but with the Overlord hovering around the way he is, he'll get to find that out soon. Now, of course, I say 2 Forges are not being kind of an issue because it depends on what the tech is. If your opponent's just going for plus weapons, that's whatever, that's standard, that's nothing to worry for. But if he goes for double Forges, that means he's going to try and get his upgrades up ASAP, and he'll come at you much earlier. But Stardust with a couple sentries and a Stalker, going to start marching across the field here. We'll see what he can really make with this Force Mothership Core, of course, in the natural base at this point, just poking around, not doing any real concrete damage. Nerchio, of course, without speed, and without speed on the way, I might add. It'll be very difficult to deal with Stalkers with slow Lings. Stardust with that Pylon and the Probe awkwardly do get picked off. Wants to probably burn a Force Field or 2 to save this if he can, but won't. Sadly, there's the cancel. Sorry, that suspenseful pause where you're like waiting, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? I don't know. But Sentry's coming back home now. He's got a lot of Sentries, and Sentries work really great against slow Lings. Like, if you guys thought fast Lings or whatever versus Sentries, wait till you see slow Lings versus Sentries. It's quite hilarious. Nerchio also with some really nice creep spread. I want to comment on this too. Not a lot of Zerg players spread creep in general versus Protoss, but I feel it's very essential that people do. The reason people don't spread creep versus Protoss, mind you, is because it's very easy to clean up with the way observers work mechanically. But Nerchio said, you know what? Even if it buys me a couple seconds early on, I'll definitely do this. Zerglings, slowlings once again, getting surround on the Stalker. A little unnecessary to use the force fields, I feel. Every game mass sentries, the Stardust strat. Yeah, it's not too inaccurate, but sentry control is one that takes a lot of refining. You don't just give like any player 12 sentries and say, like, here, win. I'm gonna hallucinate a Phoenix to come up here. But anyways, yeah, so like sentry, like I used to give him a lot of crap for it. There's some players, I'm very good friends with the StarCraft Ascension players, a North American team, and they've got some Protoss players who I absolutely love. They've got great aspects to the game, their game knowledge is astounding, and their mechanics are superior. But a couple of them have like, what I used to joke around about, they've much improved since then, but they used to have like some of the worst force fields in the world. And it's the difference of making the finals versus say the quarterfinals. That force field control. And now some of these same players that I used to make fun of actually do things like all kill FXO&A now without any problem because they've got that under wraps. So sentries are good, but just like every other good unit in the game, it takes a bit of skill. And we'll pretend that Infestors and Wings of Liberty didn't count. Ha ha ha! Shots fired! But now we got the Stalker and the sentry push coming across the map. There's actually no probe with this for the forward pylon, so the warp-ins are going to be a little bit necessary. He can't quite push without them, I fear. Nerchio does have this Hydra Den coming out very early, +1 range being researched, of course, because you want to take these fights defensively, so why bother getting muscular augments first? I really don't like, there's very little to no situations where getting muscular augments first, that speed for Hydralisks off of creep, it's not really ever worthwhile. You want it eventually, but to get it first over Groove Spines is such a mistake. That +1 range is huge. But I really like the Roach Hydra composition. It's a really strong matchup. Again, to take another shot at another race, Terran players get a lot of crap from Marines because Marines are good against just about everything. Well, the same kind of goes for this composition. Roaches and Hydralisks can take on most of what's going to be on the field this early. There's not going to be Colossus, there's not going to be Immortals, and more importantly, no Storms, which are really great at shutting this down. Colossus is now on the way, though. We got Blink coming out shortly, but not here quite yet. But I want to mention, Stardust has a lot of sentries. This is 6 sentries, half of which are full energy, which means there's a lot of force fields available. And if he can trap some of these slow Hydralisks that are very boldly playing off of creep. Nerchio again with these... Okay, actually, he has speed. Sorry, I did not catch that. I thought he still had no metabolic boost at this point. I was going to say, really? 24 lings with no metabolic boost? Coming up here, Stardust gonna poke in, poke out. And the every best here in chat, this tournament's actually completely finished. This was a game I DC'd from earlier, so we are cleaning this up quite nicely. You have all the games available on VOD format. Stardust though gonna take a bit of damage here at the third base. Gonna pull all the probes immediately, and as he reacts, we've got a huge push in from the east. Hydralisks, Zerglings, and Roaches are gonna pincer in Stardust, but Stardust has those force fields available. Will he use them? The Photon Overcharge being used to no effect as the Nexus falls immediately. Roaches are zoned out, the Hydralisks in the back still firing away though. Stardust surprisingly has the unit count for this though. Hydralisks, for those who do not know, they kind of just destroy anything that comes out of the gateway, but the only way to overpower really a Hydralisk force is to outnumber them, and Stardust has absolutely done this. He's now got Colossus still standing. It did not quite go down. 64 health remaining on it, 19 kills to its name, and he's got Thermal Lance finishing up shortly. The Blink forward here is picking off every single Hydralisk. Gonna get an Overlord for free too, and Nerchio, while not down in supply, just lost some very, very expensive units. Now Queen is going to hang out here with the army. Of course, creep spread has been just magnificent up to this point, but will the extra information be enough? Seeing Stardust army push, he's going to get delayed by like a few seconds as he stops to kill the creep tumors on the way to the base, but Nerchio, man, he's in a lot of trouble. I mean, this is a wide engage area. He's going to have to Stardust is going to have to use a lot of force fields, and he's only got 3 sentries available. Yeah, the force field's not quite good enough. I mean, all it does is allow Nerchio to run down and around to meet him on the other side. But with this second Colossus, will this be enough? Stardust and Nerchio now running neck and neck right beside each other towards the base. Hydralisks and Roaches could and should focus on these Colossus. They will, because there's nowhere for them to back into. One goes down, but so much damage is being done. The Roaches fall, the Hydralisks falter as well. A nice blink forward. All the Colossus are gone, but so are the Hydralisks. Roaches alone do not contend with an army with like this. He's got the Immortal here. and one Immortal is more than enough with these Blink Stalkers. Both players here still on even supply. I must say I'm a little impressed that Nerchio's, despite throwing all this away, has been keeping up, but look at the resources lost, guys. This is so heavily in the favor of our Protoss player. And Stardust is still long distance mining. Nexus just finished up. It's really irritating to watch that happen. You're like, SCVs, probes, why you no go to close base? But we have the transition to Hive coming out here for Nerchio, and once he adds some Vipers to this army, it's going to be really sexy. Roaches and Hydralisks, of course, are very good as is, but when you start pulling the Colossus in and they get immediately evaporated, that's when they're really good. But the problem isn't the Colossus. The Vipers aren't what to look forward to. It's the fact that there's so many Stalkers and Sentries still on the field. Nerchio isn't picking off the slow tech. I mean, rightfully so, he's been making the right moves, but Stardust has just been retaining all of his gateway units. He hasn't had to remake, 7 waves of Stalkers because they've been living from every single fight. Now with the Watchtower, he saw this army coming. Colossus are already in position. These Lings, well, a nice choice out of Nerchio, will not do much with the Colossus standing by. And they do go down rather quickly. Getting a couple probe kills, though. Not too shabby, but not enough to really cause hard damage to Stardust's economy. And this is weird. Very rarely, if ever, do you see a Protoss player go for a 4th base on this map, and when you do, it's rarely that center base, but Stardust is going to go for it. Meanwhile, oh no, there's no upgrades for Nerchio. This is really going to suck because his opponent is coming up on +3. I don't know how I missed that at this point. These Stalkers actually contend with the Hydralisks. In any other situation, they wouldn't. The Colossus, though, are just icing on the cake at this point. The +3 upgrades, when they kick in, are going to be devastating. Nerchio has Vipers on the way, but his army is forced to engage without them. He can't just pull in these incredibly critical units to his army to eat. This base is going to go down. Luckily for Nerchio, though, there's not a lot for him to lose at this base. The Vipers now on the field, but they, of course, need to consume some energy, some life force to get those Abducts off. But, guys, I gotta say, I don't think the Abducts will matter. He can't throw down the Blinding Clouds. The Stalkers will just blink out of it. There's not a good situation here for Nerchio. Yeah, here comes that engagement. Stalker's Guardian Shield is thrown down immediately. Viper's trying to come in for the Abduct, but look at that. They do get 2 Abducts off. The Colossus just walk away, though. There's not enough damage here as the Stalkers are just ravaging everything. We're going to see a big blink forward here in a second, and that should be the towel in the hat for Nerchio. He's got 11 more Hydralisks on the way, but they still can't contend with this army. There's that aggressive blink forward, trapping all of these units in here. One Colossus even still stands despite all of this, and GG is called. Stardust will take game 2.